Welcome to the Geekcentric podcast, and welcome to our spoiler-free quick-fire review for Red Notice. There's one last thing you should know. Trusting a thief can be dangerous. Hey there, criminals. My name is Nate, and this is our quick-fire, spoiler-free review of Red Notice, which is hitting limited theaters on November 5th and available on Netflix on November 12th. Thanks to our friends at Netflix for getting this to us for review. Joining me for this daring heist, he's jacked, loves wrestling, and he also lifts with his neck. He's Secret Agent Kevin Hudson.
All right. Now, just to be clear, he said, I'm jacked and nothing else. Okay.
That was it.
Yeah.
That's all you need to take away from it. And of course, the sexy one in our group, who also has a lovely singing voice and usually struggles with English, but he's always one step ahead. It's the thief who stole my heart, who simply goes by J-Law.
Yes, good. How are you doing?
How we do today, you good. How are you despicable double-crossing no-goods doing? You guys doing okay?
Doing well as always. Justin, I'm just wondering, are you worried venturing out into the world as just J-Law? Are you worried people won't take you seriously? Are you going to go between Justin Lawrence and J-Law for a few years before like really biting into just J-Law like The Rock?
No, I'll wear it. I like J-Law. I was the original J-Law before Jennifer Lawrence, so you know what?
Wow.
That's right.
You heard it here.
I heard it first.
Wow. Well, listen. The feds are already on their way, so let's crack this egg wide open and start with a little insight into this movie. An FBI profiler pursuing the world's most wanted art thief becomes his reluctant partner in crime to catch an elusive crook who's always one step ahead. The film stars Gal Gadot, Dwayne Johnson, Ryan Reynolds, Ritu Arya, and Chris Diamantopoulos, and is written and directed by Rawson Thurber. Okay, so no time to waste before we get into the cons. Pun intended. Let's start with our pros. Kevin, why don't you start us off, bud?
I think the first thing I'm going to say about this movie is it is hands down the biggest Netflix movie of all time. Obviously, with a $200 million budget, that's probably going to be the case. And so I will say that more than anything, this did feel like a big screen blockbuster movie. Whether it worked or not, that's what we were here to discuss. But again, I'm going to give them props for being willing to commit $200 million to the budget of this film, and it did end up feeling big, at the very least.
I think that's definitely what they were going for. It kind of I've just moved. I'm in a brand new space, and I have to say, it kind of reminds me of the room I'm in right now. It's big, but it's empty. And that's kind of where I came off on it. I do think, if I want to talk about some positives, Ryan Reynolds' humor definitely hit most of the time. There were definitely some laugh out loud moments. I think, and then the only other thing I would say is there is one moment that surprised me in the movie, without spoiling it, that involves what seems to be product placement of a certain vehicle brand. But then they do something that's really shocking and surprising, and I was very happy about that. I was like, let's see more of that.
Yeah, they subvert the expectations, right? You know what I mean? Like, you think you're getting into what was going to be very typical or very cookie cutter for that movie, and then they just kind of, shift it in a different direction very quickly.
Which is awesome.
Yeah,
and then they shift right back to cookie cutter for the rest of the movie.
I really do agree with you on that point, though, Nate. Like, Ryan Reynolds' humor was probably the saving grace of this movie, but this is a very big movie that is very empty. It lacks. It had great spectacle, and I think that if you are going to see this movie, definitely see it in theaters. The sort of FPV drone style look to the action sequences really do elevate it, and really do give it a real sense of choreography that would have had to have gone into it altogether. So aesthetically, it does look big, but it's really, really lackluster.
I mean, but based on the trailer, I wasn't really expecting anything but this. This is your, as you said, cookie cutter. This is your typical sort of buddy cop adventure movie. This is right along the lines of a Rush Hour, a 48 Hours. It just when you look at Ross and Marshall Thurber's filmography, you know, he did Skyscraper, and this was that big action spectacle. It at least was better than that movie. I would certainly say in terms of an action movie with some coherence, it at least had a bit more of that going for it. But then you see he did We're the Millers, and I'm watching this movie for the most part going, but where's all the bloody humor in this movie? Like, if it's going to be an action comedy, you have to do both the whole time. You can't just fall back on one or the other and barely hit the mark on either.
Well, it's almost like they were like, okay, well, Ryan Reynolds is in it, so there's our comedy.
There you
but
go.
That's not
exactly.
enough.
Yeah, that's not enough.
The Rock's
unfortunately.
Stand there and people love The Rock just standing there and literally being a rock. That's all he does. Can people please jump on my side with this? The Rock doesn't bring that much to these movies that he's in. He doesn't elevate them just by being there like a Ryan Reynolds does.
I feel like we're getting into cons now, so let's just do it. Sure.
Let's get into it.
But, you know, Kevin, you bring up the point of just the chemistry of the characters. And I think that you're right. I didn't expect this movie to really give anything in from a narrative standpoint. But I was really excited to see Ryan Reynolds, The Rock, and Gal Gadot together in one movie. Now, very much like the last movie we just reviewed, Kevin and I, Army of Thieves, we knew that story wasn't going to be great, but we really wanted to watch it for the performance. That character, that Dieter, that he was going to be the anchor. And for the most part, we were right. The performances were that kind of saving grace. So you look at this movie and you think that with this stacked cast, this dynamic is going to save this movie, even if it is a horrible story. But it was empty on both ends, from story to character dynamic. This was the most generic character dynamic for such rock star actors that they had. It was the flattest. It looked like they didn't want to be there to actually do the movie.
A movie with Dwayne Johnson, Ryan Reynolds, and Gal Gadot. Like, that's you couldn't come up with a better trio for a movie like this. And they're played to their strengths, but it just doesn't come across. They don't feel connected. And the movie feels like it was written in a day. Like the answers for a lot of the questions that you have throughout the movie are just so.
It was written around the spectacle.
Lazy,
it was written. It was written around those action scenes and what they wanted to do. And I don't know. Maybe COVID really did affect this production, and they lost interest in it. I feel like there was something that plays a part here, because on all fronts, no one seems excited about this. The story doesn't seem excited, and the acting doesn't.
But that's disappointing. I mean, even if you show up to work and the script isn't as meaty and as good as you want it to be, these three each got paid $20 million to do this. You show up and you give your best, and it just felt lifeless. Their performances felt lifeless. There's a scene where The Rock is literally running across a bridge for his life, and he must have been running like I could have beat him across that bridge and saved myself faster than him. He didn't even look like he was putting in the action didn't even feel like it was these threatening situations. It just, and the fight choreography was so flat and bad. Lame and generic.
And you're right, Kevin. This is probably the worst I've ever seen of The Rock, because he just was there. He just showed up. It shows in his acting that he was just turned off. Like, it was like, he just was there.
I don't know, man. It's just the movie gets the job done, I guess. If you're looking for an action movie you can watch with your dad or with whoever, it's like you could watch
literally what Nate probably did.
It's not going to offend anybody. It's not going to bother anybody. It's a 2-hour just fluff piece. Like, and there are maybe 3 or 4 really quick instances where they make these jokes where they're almost breaking the fourth wall and they're almost making fun of the genre. There's a prison scene and there's a character in prison, and he basically says, no, I don't want to do what everyone expects and to do the typical jail brawl. And then they do it, and it's like, if you had hit on those notes a bit more and played up, picking fun of action movie cliches, it could have been a really fun movie. Yeah, but it happened once or twice, and then that was it.
Ryan Reynolds literally goes Deadpool, I think 4 or 5 times in the movie. At one point, even just calling the MacGuffin a MacGuffin.
Yes,
in the movie, which was awesome. Yeah. And those were the parts where I was like, cool, ham it up, ham that aspect up, make fun of yourself. But it tries to stay serious, and it just, nobody is bought in. I don't know, man. I was really, I was hoping for so much more with these leads.
Sure, yeah. I agree. That would have been the saving grace. I would have been totally fine if this was the stupid story that it was, but if it looked like they cared and that they wanted to actually be there, then it would have hit better for me, at least.
All right, well, listen, I'm pretty sure the cops are right outside my window, so we better get this going here. We're gonna rate this movie and give our final words here. We're gonna rate it on a score of 1 to 5 golden MacGuffins. Kevin, we'll start with yourself.
Going into this movie again, it being a Netflix movie, but with a good cast, I wasn't quite sure how high to set my expectations. The trailer, it felt like a very generic action comedy movie, and it was almost like, are we going to see all the big moments in the trailer? And we kind of did, even though there aren't any really good moments, be it in the trailer or in the movie. I mean, if you look at the movie poster for this, it's better than the movie because you got your 3 characters on it. They all look great. You're like, I know these people. I love them. Yeah. And then you watch the movie, and they're flatter in the movie than they are on this 2D poster. And it's like, well, that's a disappointment. So,
right.
I mean, again, I haven't seen a big, explosive buddy comedy action movie in a while, and it's a genre I grew up loving. Justin, I know you and I with Rush Hour and stuff like that. We kind of, we had a lot of fun with that growing up, and so I kind of wanted it to be a bit better and more like that, and it just really doesn't hit any of the notes. And it just falls flat, and like we've said a bunch of times here, you got $60 million worth of charismatic, beautiful people doing boring, flat performances. What a disappointment. Oh, also, one last quick note. What a poor use of Chris Diamantopoulos. The guy has such good comedic chops, and his character choice in this movie was so bizarre that we were laughing along at it for all the wrong reasons anytime he was on screen.
It was because it was bad.
Yeah,
his voice?
Yeah, his voice choice.
Voice was terrible.
So ridiculous. And he's a voice guy. He does Mickey Mouse in the cartoons, and he's great on Silicon Valley. And none of that charm either. Everybody got sucked down because of this movie. This is a solid 2.4 out of 5 golden MacGuffins for me. That's a fail.
Jeez, Justin.
Going into this movie with the expectation that you probably weren't going to get this killer story, but you were going to get this dynamic with this cast. It was going to be, as you described, an action buddy sort of heist adventure. But again, I reference Army of Thieves. I think it does the same thing better, and the cast wants to be there because the performances in this movie from top tier Hollywood actors that are in these kind of movies was so flat and was so boring. And I feel like that's really where it loses me. It's just like when you watch them on screen and it's like, yeah, they're surrounded by cool action and cool visuals, but it doesn't seem like they want to be there. That being said, this is a super fail. This is a 2 out of 5 MacGuffins for me. A solid 2. Yeah.
I'd rather have 2 McMuffins than those MacGuffins. I think, again, 3 incredibly charming actors in a fun heist movie. It's got all the bones that, that are there, but the execution is bland and unoriginal. And it goes from fun to not really that fun. I think if you're a Ryan Reynolds fan, you might enjoy it maybe a little bit more.
Yeah.
I guess.
And I also think, just with that point, I wouldn't watch this if you're a rock fan.
With all 3 of these actors, there's better movies on Netflix with all 3 of these actors. Honestly, guys, though, it hurts me so much to give this score because I do love these 3 leads. I agree with you, Justin. I'm giving it 2 golden McMuffins out of 5.
But I will say this, though. That action sequence at the beginning is pretty spot on. And it does really showcase that this was probably a movie better suited for theaters. And I think that if it was only a theater movie, it would probably do pretty well with its cast and, $200 million budget. I think it would do pretty well opening weekend.
I would have been even more upset if I had paid for it versus watching it on Netflix for free,
Yeah, well, that is about it for our spoiler-free review of Red Notice. We hope you enjoyed the review more than you enjoy maybe the movie. If you did, leave a 5-star review and write in to let us know your thoughts of the movie. Justin, if you wouldn't mind reaching into your back pocket and unlocking those handcuffs to let our listeners know where they can reach us.
Why, of course. They can reach us at wearegeekcentric@gmail.com. That's wearegeekcentric@gmail.com.
Keep in mind, we also have our spoiler-free review out now for Marvel Studios' Eternals, as well as an interview with Leah McHugh, who plays Sprite in the film. So definitely go check those out. We also have our quick-fire reviews for both Last Night in Soho and Army of Thieves, which is another movie on Netflix right now. So go give those a listen before you check out those movies. Guys, the jig is up, or whatever they say in heist movies or whatever. Kevin, Justin, thank you so much for joining me for the spoiler-free quick-fire review. And as we say, love ya.
Get home safe, guys.
Peace.